Fine.
So, yet another character introduction. Demi is on his second character, and he's the first one to not be forced out. Technically.
Well, I was forced into the ground. Now, now, not out of the sea, but out of the ground.
What do you think are your chances of someone getting your location out of one of your gag and eating you, though?
I mean, technically, he wasn't the only one not forced out, but he is the only one not to have his character screwed.
I mean, William is kind of screwed. I think Vienna
My
is a
point.
very...
So, Demi, before we go on, a few minor things. Buying performance to 5 with experience. You could rearrange somewhat to save at least a couple of points on that. For example, you could buy Subterfuge instead with experience and free up at least 2.
I was thinking just now, actually, I could have just done the freebie Subterfuge 2 that I spend onto performance and then buy the Subterfuge.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. But other than that, well, I'm gonna give you the choice. You can either go down to 7 gen instead of 8.
Okay.
You can get 5 extra backgrounds, or you can get, say, let's call it around 30 extra experience points, because you retired Halfdan with some measure of dignity. So you can choose one reward for your efforts.
Yeah. I don't want 7 gen. I already made my backstory, and as tempting as it is, nah. The 5 extra backgrounds are 30 XP. Well, I love backgrounds. I think I'm gonna go with the XP.
Okay.
I do want to come in a little bit limited.
Okay. I do well, actually with backgrounds you could up something like clan status.
Oh, right. That was actually going to be a question that I forgot to tell you. Are you going to give anything additional like you usually do, or no this time?
Depends on what you tell me once we get into the actual character backstory. That's an offer that comes based on things that come up, during that part.
Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, now I'll go with the 30 XP because I also do want to play on the whole fact that I, as a player myself, want to also try and actually get backgrounds for once instead of just having them from character buying.
Okay. I might suggest buying up something that might have helped you survive in more violent times, like maybe a dot or 2 of stealth with that XP, but kind of up to you to a large extent.
Fair enough. I can see your points. I mean, there's a reason why I even went 2 firearms when I didn't have it previously. Simply for the fact that I'm not a combat character. I try to avoid fucking, combat as much. But you did make a good point that if I did live for quite a long while, I would have some at least measure of defending myself when necessary.
Just quietly hobble away from danger.
Essentially, I mean, there's a reason why my celerity isn't that high either. I mean, yeah, I could use it, for example, in other things besides, shooting and gunning, but, it just makes sense that I'm not usually fast.
I do hear that Presence 4 is good, so that might be good if you want to rule the flock.
Yes, the Presence 4 was Summon. What used to be Summon? Was it Appearance or Charisma?
It's Charisma Subterfuge. You're good on the roll, so you won't suck at it.
Yeah, pretty decent on it. I have that. That would cost the 15. Yeah, 15. That would make it 30. Let me just see what else I want to get. I was thinking of getting a politics up to 3. Potentially just to be on the more politics side, because I did actually.
Well, just the cost. Just quickly fill it out. What do you want to take? Just run as your TK.
I will get Presence 4, definitely. Let me just fucking find Presence to 4. So that's 30. Also, because I got Subterfuge, did this whole Subterfuge performance, I get another 2. So I spent 190 6. Let me just get out a calculator because mathematics.
Uh,
So 196 plus 15, that's going to be 211.
you would have a total of 36 available.
Okay.
Could always just stick up presents to 5 and go, Majesty, bitches!
Majesty. Yeah, that is kind of tempting, isn't it? But I do want to sort of put myself on the other things as well and not be a total snob. Just absolute nothing and what a decent.
Just pick.
Okay. So politics 3. Let me just do that.
Spent 19 so far.
Yeah. So politics 3 is fucking 4. Perfect. Next thing that I want to get is perhaps, seeing as how I want to do a lot of things, I'm actually going to get a cult 4. Simply for the fact, I do want to actually sort of, know the occult. And I think through my entire education and learning and going around, I think I would learn it.
Okay, yes, that's fine. Occult. You're gonna need to pick specialty for that, but keep going.
Obviously, I can do that. Occult 4 at 6 XP, right? Yeah, 6.
You have 11 left.
Yeah, 11 is actually exactly correct. So with the remaining 11, questioning. I think I want 2 points actually in law. Simply that I have actually some knowledge gaining there because I was previously a noble as well. So it makes sense that I know some certain sort of laws and how it actually keeps going on so I can maintain my estate and whatnot.
If you've kept up with it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of forced to keep up with it because I did actually keep my estate on for quite a while.
Okay.
That's
That
fine.
means that you have spent 30 so far, I think.
6 left.
Or am I miscounting?
I should have 6 because I did actually have 2 XP previously, and then doing the whole subterfuge performance, what you said, I actually saved 2 XP.
Let's go through this. 15 for presence, 4 for politics, 6 for cult. That puts us 25. 5 to take up law 2 times. So that's 30 spent. Oh yes, so you do have 6. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So the last thing that I can get up, I mean, I'm really tempted to get something up to a level 4. Now the questioning is intimidation, leadership, alertness, academics, or finance.
Intimidation is a good survival pick because it helps with dominate 1 and presence.
That is actually fair. That actually could be another way of my survival besides just firearms. You're absolutely right. So yeah, let's get intimidation 4, and that's it.
Okay, which means that you are at exactly 0.
That's 232.
Yep.
Perfect. I mean, I presume you also took a look at my merits and flaws. I hope they're okay. Like, I didn't took anything like out of the world.
Ability aptitude performance and ability aptitude etiquette.
Yeah, being a snob.
I think that's good.
Don't worry, if I wanted ability aptitude firearms, I'd just shoot myself in the head.
It couldn't have taken it anyway. Non-combat abilities.
I mean, I know that's the joke.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'll allow these. Yeah, that is perfectly fine.
Perfect. So besides that, 2 things that I wanted to ask before, since what would actually, I think, now performance, because I'm not sure how broad or specific do I have to be. I'm just basically a musician. I mean, I started with a violin and then went on and later on and started composing. But like, would I put maybe like musical playing or just go on a specific instrument, or what should I do?
I think like musical instruments is an appropriate performance pick.
Okay.
And composing, well,
like would that even have
pick a type of music that you're essentially
good at
focused
composing
on.
at.
Yeah.
Probably my own old one. Which, thinking about my background, yeah, that would be Barrack.
Okay.
Boom.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Maybe something like the kind of instruments you tend to use?
I was thinking
No,
more in
that was.
terms of, you know, more classical or more, you know, punk rock.
Yeah, no, I'm using more of the old things like, a violin, a piano, those things. Oldies. Classics.
So, string instruments? Or maybe classical music?
You can go with classical if that works for you, Demi.
Yeah, sure. Keep the instrument classical, or do I just put classical?
Just classical music. Composing is less about specific instruments unless you want to focus on all the ways a specific instrument can be, you know, expressed,
Yeah.
and more about the style of music.
Yeah, understandable. Besides that, I mean, I'll just open up the book and find the specialties. Other than that, I think everything should be okay, and you
Yeah,
can just go on.
those two you can fill in later.
Yeah,
Let's
myself.
just get on to the backstory. So, tell us about Benjamin, Demi.
Well, Benjamin Bywood is an Englishman who was born in 1663 in a minor noble family. And it was near Cambridge. He had an estate. His father had an estate. Their family in general had an estate there, and he grew up there. Being, sort of from a minor nobility, like he didn't have any. His family didn't have like a major presence, but they had, money and things. So he was able to be, tutored, educated from a young age, and whatnot. Of course, as a sort of whole noble education goes on, reading, writing, and things. Even, of course, playing an instrument. Benjamin just fancied and had a talent for, music. He was just good at it. And, he practiced that the most. Of course, but, being a noble and going with his father, since he was actually supposed to be the actual heir to the estate, because he is the eldest son. He would, of course, go with his father and on these minor balls where there would be these other nobles in Cambridge or maybe in London and etc. Where he would learn more about the, higher life, the high society, and, be just learned on how to be a noble, at least to, the most of his extent he can be. Of course, just being, a teenager child and through his, things, he did actually meet a girl, which actually had a very big impact on his life. The girl's name was Grace. As a teenager, they would just basically, sometimes he would skip class at times and just, go out, be with her on a field, meadow, and just have a, lovely romantic time, truly. However,
Demi, I think you fail to understand how controlled the heirs of high society are, especially female children.
Of course, of course, it's not like there weren't any repercussions. It's just, at times, as I'm saying.
No, Demi, if you were alone as a teenager with a female, her reputation could be ruined. That is, you are getting married now territory, not...
God damn it, that entirely fucking ruins how I broke my fucking leg.
It depends on how high in polite society you were, of course, but in actual English polite society, I'm pretty sure that you are not skipping class to be alone with a girl without a major fucking scandal happening.
Oh, okay. How about every fucking, Sunday when there's no classes?
That doesn't help much.
But... You might have snuck out a few times, but yeah, it would be easier for you to get away, right? Because
right, but for her, not as much.
Yeah, exactly.
She will be noticed being gone on a Sunday. That is Sabbath day.
Fucking Sabbath. Wait, this is England though. Does England still have what Anglican Sabbath days?
Yes, it's very important.
Yeet.
Did you just fucking yeet at me? Did you fucking yeet at me, you piece of shit?
Yes. Basically, So how should I do this? Like, because I do want
She
to actually.
might have been a lower class teenager.
And don't do the Sunday. It matters even more for the lower class.
Yeah, she might have been from the merchant classes, like still high class in her own way, but from a completely different world than you.
Thinking about it now, that actually shouldn't hinder the story as well as much. So yeah, we can do that. She's basically just from a lower class and whatnot.
That should work. A merchant family would easily be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might still have some questions, but quite likely you can actually get away with that. So
yeah, okay. It doesn't change it because because the major point is like they kind of loved each other from a very young age and just were together. But it kind of correlates to the story how I broke my leg, and it's a very cliche, but you never really expected how it happens. So how when you're in a meadow and you see a lonely tree and you climb up on a tree with your loved one, and it's like, wow, look at all this wheat. And then all of a sudden you just slip and fucking fall, and help's not nearby, and you're like, ow, my leg hurts really bad. Is it broken? Oh,
I
shit,
have a feeling that merchant family might have been ruined because they ruined the son of a noble house.
Thinking about it now, potentially, but that actually still might actually work into the background later on.
You know what, Demi? I'm gonna offer you your advantage right now. You can trade 1 humanity point, and you can be a sibling with Alberta and have her as an ally.
I don't want to lose a humanity point because I really like where I am sitting right now. For character reasons.
Alberta, Demi. One opportunity like
I know.
He doesn't know who Alberta really is, so that doesn't matter much.
I don't know 100%.
But I will let you
it's an important person.
I will let you sacrifice a willpower point instead, if you wish.
You're really giving the temptations here, but no, I'll stay as is.
He really Alberta is currently the 3rd most important person in Springfield.
Okay, I know because I've heard from you guys. I don't fully know, but I know. So, thank you, but not now.
In a couple decades, she will be the 2nd, and then the 1st.
Anyways,
for a brief moment, for a very, very brief moment.
Besides that, so that whole thing goes on, and as he grew up, getting educated, becoming a noble, and whatnot, becoming an heir. Eventually, of course, the time came up where he became an actual decently grown man, and since he was kind of living near Cambridge, I did put in that, for the actual full education purposes, he would attend, the Cambridge University, which I think at this time period would actually have been still reserved for people who actually have some wealth.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Possibly. But, keep it going, Demi. TikTok.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, my bad. So yeah, went to the university, blah, blah, still was writing messages to Grace, letters, etc., blah, blah. Finished university, came back, and the first thing that I wanted, that I did was continue improving myself, honing my musical skills and talents and whatnot, and decided to actually go around Europe for a time, just traveling, going into
Were you
France
the eldest son, Demi?
Yes, I was the eldest son.
Yeah, your father was disappointed with you because he was hoping you might have a career in the military, and then you broke your leg and he started giving less of a fuck, so he just let you travel in the hopes you would get killed so your brother could inherit.
The traveling around Europe wasn't actually that long, just only about 6 years, because I had to come back home eventually. When I did come back home, I actually did try and, go and ask for, the merchant's daddy's approval to actually marry Grace. Woohoo. And I think I did actually state in the story it was reluctantly, which correlates still back to the previous path that I might have hindered him at times. So yes, it probably still is reluctant.
For someone, if you are proper nobility, not just some minor country nobility, They would have been ecstatic because at this point their fortunes would have been ruined, except your father would have probably forbidden it. And threatened to disinherit you entirely if you did it.
I do have one thing that might save my grace from that, and that is that I wrote in my fucking backstory that since my siblings saw that I'm getting really successful in terms of education and whatnot, I did put actually that my siblings just kind of left. I didn't have many siblings. I had a fucking another brother and a sister. The sister, I think I put the sister just got basically married away, fucked off, but she's not really that key to the inheritance. But the other, son just also fucked off and started traveling, Europe and whatnot. Because, So that might be my saving grace, that he can't really find the siblings in time. Because my dad did eventually die. Woohoo.
So for like a good 6 months to a year, he was actually in like a mini civil war with his dad. And
you will not ruin this family's name! We have held these lands for 3 centuries, son!
But my love life.
Jamie, did he actually died, or he died with quotes on the side, and it was a very expensive poison?
I put it actually in the backstory. Father died from a sudden heart attack.
It was... Maybe it was the daughter's, or Grace's father.
I don't fucking know.
Using the last of the family fortune to try and turn it all around with a Hail Mary.
Anyways, continuing after that, going on a more simple route, thank you very much. Basically, now that I'm the man of the house, estate's mine, controlling it and, keeping it under control is, one of those things. But I did still try and pursue a musical career where I tried, using my knowledge and education, trying to compose and make some works and whatnot. But I never really hit it off. It wasn't, there was always just somebody, a little bit better or somebody just more famous, or I wasn't in a good time. I just never hit it off. And to add insult to injury, I never actually had a child with Grace. We just couldn't have a, reproduce. So, yay. That's amusing. However,
you are also, I think a big part of you not finding success was the fact that you married Grace and polite society turned its back on you.
It could have been at a time, but it could have been. It's just I was too focused on one thing that I didn't really notice.
You just stopped getting invited to parties.
Yeah, and with basically no success and whatnot and just trouble, I did actually put in that Grace got sick by pneumonia, and then really bad case of pneumonia, and then eventually fucking died, because pneumonia is fucking deadly at that time. And this is where it comes a big sort of time skip where I'm just alone, sad, and just basically doing very little things in terms of life. Basically,
your brother checks in once a year to see if you're dead yet and he can claim the inheritance.
And you're busy just kind of trying to party it away. You're just that, that one single man who's no one really wants to give their daughters to, because holy shit, his reputation's fucked, but, well, he has a good inheritance.
Demi, I think that you, for a while, you became a third-generation romanticism writer, speaking of the tragedies of life and stuff like that.
Okay, but yeah, continuing on, basically, as I said, there's a time skip where basically a couple of fucking years passed where I'm still continuing maintaining the estate, and this was actually a time where I even tried to become a professor at the University of Cambridge, trying to teach kids. I mean, I did have some good education behind me, so, in the same school, and basically was also a private tutor at times to some other nobles, trying to, teach the music and whatnot. It wasn't a really successful life, as, you're constantly getting surrounded by people who and see are talented, and yourself you're talented, but never actually came to you. Sad. But there was a point in time where, during his, old life, being 55 and whatnot at this point, really fucking old, actually, where basically he got reinvigorated with passion about the whole music thing when he actually met somebody who really reminded him of Grace. It was at this point where after getting his reinvigoration that he basically started using all the previous contacts he had, previous students, other people, London, theaters, etc., just contacts, influence, and, just using his resources to try and actually time to compose a very long musical play, consisting of multiple people, maybe an opera here and there. And the most important thing was actually his own personal work that he did for the end, which was fully maintained for Grace. It was held in London because London is an obvious place to hold things like this. And, it went pretty fucking well. But what really captured the audience was that actual last performance that I did solo on a violin. Basically, I composed an entire story for Grace, and I did on a violin. So, emotions, woohoo, fucking amazing. And after that play, which obviously got me, some garnish, reputation, and whatnot, this is the point where I put in that my sire comes in and, offers me a fucking deal, essentially. After I'm, in the backstages where there's nobody left because I'm still clean, just finishing up and whatnot. I'm like, hey, wanna make music for future generations? And like, sure, why not? That's basically my thought process by a woman named Lady Annabelle.
Okay, so
that's more to life. God
give
bless.
me a quick overview of the vampire life, and please, for the love of God, don't let it take another half an hour.
Hey, look, man, I told you I made a fucking story, okay?
I know, but it would have helped if you had been here a little earlier than 10 minutes before we're supposed to start.
Okay, story goes really simple. Not really simple, actually. So vampiric life, after being tutored, being a fledgling under Lady Annabelle, trying to adapt to the new situation, learning everything, blah, blah. He did actually very like the Auspex, because Auspex helps perception and, catching the fine tunes of music and whatnot. It lasted about 5.5 years. So pretty quick, pretty not quick. I don't know. So after, becoming a neonate, stuck around in England, was there, going in Elysiums, taking care of the estate still, blah, blah. But making a name for himself there. Then he started traveling, going for France and staying there for a while, and mostly in Orleans, funnily enough. I did actually, now that I think about it, I didn't actually plan that, Orleans and New Orleans. So then he actually joined a guild there for a time, Toreador Guild, which was essentially sort of a band that just played in Elysiums and made, good works. And just, was mostly a vampiric fucking, thing, bandy thing. Besides that, he would later on visit Vienna because it was, I think at this point of time, there was a lot of people like, Beethoven, Mozart actually coming in. It's like, wow, there's actually a really big musical place, so let's go there. And now you can correct me if this is wrong, but I feel like I would have found, another Tamir person who was also a man of culture in a way.
You met William.
We made a musical school there, which just basically held on because, to inspire and get new talent. Now, this may have to be a merit or something, but I just added it for Baxter. I'm not sure if you can add it, but I did put in that this was actually the first time I embraced somebody. Is that okay?
If they're not around, then...
No.
Then it's not a problem. Otherwise, yeah, it might be an ally, or it might be a retainer, depending on how experienced they would be at this point. But yeah, generally speaking, they're somewhere off or dead.
Yeah, good, because I didn't really do anything to them. So basically, that's in Vienna. However, eventually, for some odd reason, my Tremere friend, ally, came to a sudden final death. And I'm like, well, that's not good. I'm just going to continue on, and let's just leave, the school after, actually teaching my child and, getting him out of fledgling stage. Like, you know what? You've got skill, kid. Have this school, and I'm out. So basically, I'm not sure what happened to him later on. I mean, probably would have been in minor contact, but basically just gave him, the school and keep care of it.
He might be a keeper of Elysium in Vienna.
Potentially. That was the first embrace, and then I went into Germany, traveled there a bit, mostly stayed around in Frankfurt, where I did another embrace after a few years, with permission, of course, because there was a woman there that once again reminded me of the beauty and personality that is Grace. So I didn't actually, get her for her skills. It's just like, Grace needs to live on. Yippee-ki-yay, she's a vampire now. Taught her a bit, fledgling. After that, she became a neonate. She left. Last I know, she left for the New World, but that's like 50, 60 years before I actually went to the New World. So what happened to her later on, not fully aware, because we kind of stopped. Besides that, after the whole travel thing, went back to, Britain, kept the estate, still trying to, make something in England, and yeah.
Given the masquerade, by this point your estate would have been well into your brother's hands, because...
Yeah, probably. But, it's something that is still, I'm there, but not in actual control, but, But besides that, was there until the end of World War II, and since World War II had some devastating effects, and because I know the estate can be, led by the mortals and whatnot, I'm like, you know what? I think this is a good time for me to visit the New World, and then I went, visiting Boston, New York, being there, and doing what I had as a primary mission, trying to see the culture there, trying to improve the Toriters and to date with true ways of arts and whatnot. And eventually I with Andrew's message and things, I'm like, hey, New Orleans. I'm like, yeah. And then we go.
Okay.
That should be it. I also have a summary if you need the years.
Okay, so yes, you will put that in the backstories folder, but your positives, negatives. So your first positive.
My first positive was obviously Toreador. Benjamin himself is a patron of the arts because he makes music himself and he does support others. There's something that I'm going to go with one of the other elders I met, but that's kind of the main example. I mean, I am a Toreador first of all, and I do Toreador things.
Okay. Okay, how would your support of a Toreador artist work in a specific case?
In a specific case, I mean, personally, from my also perspective, I do have a tendency to...
just describe a specific situation, Demi.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to use this actually because this actually does connect later on. So this was actually with Sigurd because I actually had a story behind this. When there was World War I, I did actually try and be a huge supporter and sort of allocate resources to actually save a lot of works of arts and whatnot from France to avoid the devastation that was bringing to it. So just trying to basically, conserve stuff so it doesn't just basically get, wrecked by an artillery shell.
Okay. So more a case of preserving things then.
Yeah, in this point.
Okay, your first negative.
My first negative was Nosferatu. Who would have guessed?
Okay. Go on.
So basically, the Nosferatu is... I'm a man of beauty, of good life, and then when I look at a Nosferatu, it doesn't bring, a good light. So basically, the entire process was I barely talked about their existence, but when I did, it was in a very negative light. Of course, somebody picked something up, word spreads, Nosferatu spread shit, and eventually I just basically get a freaking really bad rap around them. But being a Toreador myself, it's kind of expected.
Okay. Your second positive. Well, actually, What might you have said about a specific Nosferatu? Describe a specific situation if you can.
Well, life is beautiful. Nosferatu aren't beautiful. They are by very definition a regression of beauty and art. Almost a regression of humanity.
Okay.
Truly beautiful, isn't it?
Fair enough. So your second positive?
Second positive, Ventru plus. Simply because Benjamin always did have a solid relation with most Ventru, Torider, Ventru, easy peasy. Interacted with them a lot in Elysium. But being a previous noble, I did also have a lot of experience, handling finances, administration, and, my own social skills. So I feel like I would have just, at times worked with Ventru trying to, make something or just work on something and etc.,
Okay, and give me a specific.
Specific. Goddamn, I could actually use Milford here because I did actually do that with him as well. I'll use him as an example because he could have actually spread it on. So it was at this time that I'm talking with a Ventru and he's thinking about business ventures here and there, maybe leaving the country, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll talk about it. I'll give ideas, use my own knowledge that I know to support the ideas, give out some flaws out of things. Maybe even give, some backing and, actually, if he gets anything, work with, get a sort of bit of profit back, 10, 20%, if I just give him a little bit of resources, etc. Just basically working.
Okay.
Next negative is Gangrel.
Okay. Beast Boys.
Essentially Beast Boys. They're not like the Nosferatu. They're not a full regression. The thing is, though, I did try to interact with them previously, but it just never really went because, it goes on, I don't need art. I need survival, and I'm a apex predator. And whenever, it goes on, it just ends up being like, well, I can't talk to a beast, obviously, about, the beauty of art and etc. So just basically, as much as I tried, it's as much as I got shunned.
Okay. So, yes, and describe a specific situation to me. Right, no, that was
specific situation. I probably would have interacted with a neonate gangrel. Seeing as, they're kind of young and they're much easier to work with than the elder apex predators, teaching him, the better sides, that maybe, it's not all about survival, maybe it's like, about preserving here, doing things here. Of course, he goes like, nah, my elders say differently, blah, blah. Then I start, probably putting a cliche or maybe a nuanced insult here and there, just, in a very subtle way, kind of gets caught up. Neonate Gangrel goes back, spreads the words as they do. Bad rep, easy peasy. Wow, that's a lot of rolling. I wonder what it's for.
You don't care at Humanity 3 about accidentally frenzying on a human, do you?
I'm not Humanity 3 though?
No, you definitely don't. Not at 3.
Yeah, I think it was
at like 4 or 5 that you kept
5
carrying,
was
but
property damage. It was at 4 then. Okay, good to know. I'm just seeing how quickly the gargoyle can refuel before coming for Allied again next night.
Oh, understandable. Have a nice day. So that was the other negative. The other positive was the Tremere. Is the Tremere. Basically, basically having a good relation with the Tremere, since they kind of do, kind of fit in a kind of a high society. But mostly where I built that relation was actually in Vienna, as I said from my backstory, building another musical school with another Tremere and actually having it be of some success. And just working together with a Tremere and seeing that I am workable and I am a man of books and art and culture, just kind of goes together, and yeah, got a good rep.
Yeah, those need to be watched the most carefully. Who knows when they might decide to look in the wrong book and try and pick up thaumaturgy.
So that's the plus Tremere. The last minus, I did put this, but you tell me. From my
describe me a specific interaction with the Tremere, or are you just gonna use the
I was
music
gonna use
school?
the musicals.
Okay.
Yeah, the music.
Go ahead. Give me the last negative then.
Now I put this one, but I think I kind of got another feeling for it. So you just tell me what fits more. I put either Zimacy, but I'm thinking also maybe a Toreador anti-tribute might work. Simply because both of them don't really fit in the whole things of proper art, because there are Zimacy out there that believe that their use of vicissitude is not monstrous, but it's just a work of art, and that's how to improve things. But you also have the Toreador anti-tribute who kind of do the same. But I'm not sure which one.
Being opposed to how they view the world isn't gonna stand out as something exceptional for any Cameral vampire. That isn't gonna be enough to justify a negative. You have to do a lot more than speak out against them to piss them off and make them notice you.
Well, there was this point I put in the Zimacy, which might work, where basically, after mustering some courage, I finally, took, the risk after listening to some of my foolish clanmates saying that, there's actually potential in them. I did respect their hospitality and, got actually in it at a point. But as much as I tried to respect it, it was very horrendous. And nearing the end, there was just a very heated argument where I got really emotional and just left, kind of just betraying the hospitality at the end. So that might work.
That might, but you would have had to do this more than once, and you would have had to actually do more than speak harshly to them to outright betray hospitality.
Right, fair enough.
Essentially, your promise is that you're not gonna harm them or their shit while you're in their domain, as far as I remember it.
Right, fair point.
Hurting them in the fields doesn't necessarily count, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can't really hurt a Tremere in the field, though. That's the thing that I think about.
Now, calling them a Tremere might do it, actually.
Yeah. Another thing, now tell me if this might work. Basically, with a Toreador anti-tribute, the first thing that came to my mind was, because I do know that there are Toreadors out there who kind of do keep a certain level of respect for Toreador.
Again, tell me how this... Because, yeah, just, tell me why they would give a fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say that seeing as some of them may actually enter a Camarilla city or maybe interact with a Toreador, I would have actually maybe put a
that is more rare than for normal Toreador to try and gain admittance to Sabbat cities.
Fair enough. Difficult then.
Yeah, you are a very talky person, but that does unfortunately limit you to mostly negatives with people that you would regularly interact with under controlled circumstances.
Not sure what to fucking do then.
Take an extra negative with Nosferatu, have them hate you.
Seeing as I am a Toreador, that doesn't really make, that much bad sense. It really doesn't.
This makes you stand out more than other Toreador to them.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I did kind of state I already called them a regression of humanity, so that's nice.
Okay. What else might you do regularly to them?
Let me just fix this. Well, I wouldn't go down to their sewers, besides just shit-talking them. Though I do feel that... how is it more often, like, I know Nosferatu sort of do shit against Toreadors, but how often do Toreadors do shit against Nosferatu?
Depends on whether someone has poured sewage into some expensive couches recently.
Let's go with that then. I think that, being the regression that they are, needing to in a way smoke them out, I guess. I don't fucking know. I would have maybe assisted some more vengeful, maybe more spiteful Toreadors at times just to, stop these guys. But not, going full in, but just, it's known that I've assisted them. just an eye for an eye in certain cases.
Organizing the police to clear out the homeless that the Nosferatu use as their security network.
Could work. Basically a hindrance.
Oh yeah, that
Could just
that,
have some very interesting artwork involving, a knight going to save a damsel while a dragon eats a deformed figure.
They might not give that much of a fuck. That's kind of expected.
Yeah, and so I think that
Oh
also.
no, they might not give much of a fuck, but when they put it, all over Elysium.
Again, that's kind of expected. A lot of Toreador would fall under the normal, oh yeah, the Toreador are pissed at us again. What else is new?
Oh no. That was just for examples of what Toreador do against Nosferatu.
Yeah.
That wasn't something for him to do. That's
I do feel like that's just another level of shit talking them. So kind of still relates.
So okay, fucking with their domains, playing pranks on their domains.
And after of course we don't openly do it. It's only when they do it to us, which is, let's be honest, kind of often at times.
You provoked me with your existence.
So yeah.
So
that should be it, right? 4 positives and 3 negatives. Oh yeah, I do also have one more positive. That was the last one, 4 positives.
Yes, but give me a specific on the negative.
The specific one.
Like, how would you fucking with their domains actually manifest?
How would I have done that? Things. What about? No, that's actually too risky.
Just
Maybe
say something.
Fine. Let's just use your whole police thing, where we just basically sent in people into the fucking sewers at times just to clean them out from a specific place, and
Wait, what is this chunk? Oh!
Yep.
Alarms go off. The rat cage is open.
Besides that, there is still, the last positive, which I did put in Toreador.
Yes. We are 40 minutes past, so yes, please.
Yes, I'm sorry. Second positive, Toreador, the whole musical thing. Actually, so instead of me, preserving art, this time I'm making new art by brewing talent and whatnot.
Making new art, so teaching new talent instead of just making art. Okay. And the musical school is another example.
Good. Yes.
Okay, sure, that counts. So
Whew.
That's Demi's new character. Everyone, let's take like 2 minutes to get ready if anyone still needs to step away, and then let's just get into the session proper, because I need to kill Allied with a stone fist up through his ass.